This is Rest in Republic. Rest in Republic. This is Rest in Republic. Rest in Republic. This is Rest in Republic.
Good evening from Wales, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today we have a lot of big news stories, and we are also answering some of your questions for Mailbag Monday. Out of the gates, we have a new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Congratulations to Joe Hendy. TNA clearly believe in him. But also, PCO destroyed the TNA Digital Media Championship. But was it a work or was it a shoot? We are going to be talking about that as well. But we received an absolute ton of questions today, so for their intros, I am going to ask today's panelists each a question. Let's start with Clark, and Clark, the question for you comes from EsWiggles6, who is asking, with this new NXT TNA partnership, could we see a Worlds Collide pay-per-view between the two?
I don't know necessarily about a pay-per-view. I will tell you for sure the Chiefs are going to beat the Bills this weekend, but I don't know about a co-pay-per-view. That does seem like a big ask, and I think that's really difficult to book with the two rosters because you really can't protect the TNA roster in that scenario. So I don't think a co-promoted pay-per-view a la Forbidden Door with AEW and New Japan is in the cards.
Fair enough. No, they are ones which are certainly difficult to book, as we've seen with Forbidden Door and Wrestle Dynasty over in Japan as well. But I don't know. I think it's a possibility. For sure. Probably it'll be some of the lower down NXT talents. I don't think it'll be like some big PLE, but as a special, perhaps so. We'll have to wait and see. But at Kai for Life 2022 is asking Shad, well, actually saying to Shad that Jey Uso deserves the title. Shad, do you agree?
First and foremost, I do know that the Philadelphia Eagles deserve to beat the Commanders this coming weekend in the NFC Championship game. But I do think Jey Uso deserves to be a world heavyweight champion. As over as he is, we see what's going on with Joe Hendy. I think Jey Uso adds a lot of that similar element in the WWE. So yes, Mr. Yee deserves to be its world champion.
Fair enough. Yeah, I do agree. I certainly find it hard to disagree.
Don't make me in trouble for being on my phone. I'm sending the link.
Sending the link to the broadcast channel. But no, I mean, honestly, guys, I hope that the Chiefs win our game next week and then the Eagles win their game and then we can beat the Eagles again in the Super Bowl. That was fun last year, Clark. Let's run it back,
yes.
Sorry,
let's
Anthony
run it back
Shad.
one more time. I mistyped
He's
him.
gone. Shad's disappeared. He has left the chat. But let's get straight into things because we have a question from Jose99, and I'm going to link this to Joe Hendy winning the TNA title last night. His question is, with the WWE and TNA collaboration, will JBL blend in his TNA story into WWE? Of course, last night, JBL kind of helped Nick Nemeth and has kind of been, in and around the TNA scene doing that. Could he potentially bring that gimmick to WWE tonight when he appears on Monday Night Raw? So that's one half of the question. The other half of the question is, what do you think about Joe Hendy winning the TNA title?
Oh, it's a long time coming, and we discussed this a lot this weekend. We discussed it on Sunday Spotlight yesterday. We discussed it on some dailies. I believed, I'm under the impression that you can't have Joe Hendy go 0-2 against Nick Nemeth. It was the time, it was the place, it was the right time. It's a little later than we may have asked, given the run he went on last year, but I'm still cool with it. I thought the execution was excellent, and I truly did enjoy the match. I'm stoked for Joe Hendy. I'm stoked for TNA. It was a big moment. It was a crowning moment. Nick Nemeth did a great job carrying that title, though. Cannot go without giving him credit for what he accomplished. I called this one a Battle of the Blonde Lads the other day, a BBL, and it absolutely was. It was a heck of a match. Yeah, for me, I think it was the right move. A little bit late. I don't care. Better late than never. Joe Hendy's our champion in TNA, and it's deserved. He's earned it. The guy has had more eyeballs on that product than anybody else you can name on the roster over the last calendar year. And that's just the truth. It's time to give him a run, and I'm stoked for it.
Absolutely, undoubtedly is deserved. I mean, I can't remember the last time a guy outside of WWE or AEW had this much buzz around them. I mean, this guy was one of WWE's most viewed tweets in 2024. I think he had more views than Cody Rhodes winning the title. I mean, it is absolutely insane and well deserved.
The social media numbers, even just on his entrance in NXT, and I apologize for cutting you off there, Ben, but even just on his entrance were off the charts.
That's what it was.
It was just his entrance. It wasn't.
He came out, beat Cody.
He didn't have a headlock, an arm lock, a suplex, and nothing. It was just he walked out, and that's pretty cool. It's hard to accomplish. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
No, absolutely, I agree. And Jesse Hyde says, we believe in Joe Hendry, and he called out John Cena. Indeed, he did. That could be interesting. Numero 1 says, say his name, and he appears. No doubt about it. And Virus of Nurgle bringing that up as well. The fact that he called out Cena. Sean is saying, aloha to me and Clark. Shout out to you. Virus of Nurgle is saying evening to me and Clark. Shard, why are you being left out in all this? And what are your thoughts on it all?
Because the commenters don't like whenever I have to say anything, and they don't like my takes. It's okay. I understand. I will give a shout out to Chris Leclerc, who did say the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. Chris Leclerc, you good in my book, buddy. But Joe Hendry becoming our new TNA championship champion. Long overdue. Joe Hendry, to me, is the perfect champion for TNA in this landscape of the world of how we do stuff nowadays. Because you mentioned a very telling number. He was one of the highest viewed talents on social media. I feel like he caters to a lot of what is, quick videos, viral sensation, stuff like that. In the day of social media, in the TikTok era, in the IG Reels, tweets, YouTube, all of that. He's so likable and he's so marketable in that stance. And when you look at a company like TNA, from the ups and downs that they've gone through in the last some odd years, marketability, star power is what they need. They need to have someone that can be the flag bearer and get eyes on the product. I don't think you have a better person on that roster than Joe Hendry. Is he the best wrestler? Maybe not. Does he cut the best organic promos? Maybe not. But he's an infectious character that fans want to get behind. And also, babyface, man. Like, we don't have a lot of these white meat baby faces that people are really drawn into. He does stuff really well. You compare him to Cena a lot, and you talk about Cena. He has a bit of that element of what Cena used to do as a heel, but with the vignettes, with the music videos and songs to attack his opponents, he brings it in a nice manner altogether. So I'm super happy for him. I think it's gonna be a good title reign. JBL, I know you mentioned him, Ben, and I know he's gonna be on Raw today. I would steer away having JBL bleed into the WWE programming with Joe Hendry. In all actuality, I don't even know if I want JBL and Joe Hendry to continue within the storyline, because what is the sole purpose of JBL? Is JBL going to come back as an in-ring competitor, or is he going to be a manager? Like, there's so much of a question mark on what he does. If we are going to keep it, I say keep it TNA-wise. Like, just let it go with that. I wouldn't let it come on to Monday Night Raw, because people are going to be super confused. It may be a way to draw people to watch TNA. I don't know. But I think it popping up is going to be like, why is JBL fighting with Joe Hendry on Monday Night Raw? Like, I don't know. It comes off a little bit random. But needless to say, I guess I'm interested to see what happens, what goes on with that. But yeah, man, salute to the homie Joe Hendry, bro. This was a long time coming.
I mean, they will literally be like, why is JBL dressed as The Undertaker, helping the guy from the viral video? It
Indiana
does make
Jones,
no sense.
man.
How are they friends? This is
What
like
is the
damage
story?
control. What makes them buddies?
TNA does the
Lame.
opposite of what you like, Ben. They like to put people that are way past their 40s.
Well, we're going to get into that in a
scene.
minute because that has been a big criticism I've had about TNA, and we will get to it in just a second. We have a few comments to get to. DCX Warlord says NXT championships will be defended on TNA,
Fair.
of course. Fraxium this Thursday live
Banger.
against the Rascals. That is crazy. Wild start to 2025.
I also thought Axiom himself in the cream turtleneck was just a wild play last night. I have to leave that note because I was audibly like, is he cosplaying as Christian Cage in a mask, or how are we doing this?
I'm not allowed to say anything about wrestlers wearing normal clothes anymore. The IWC silenced me because after I said I thought it looked bad that Gunther was wearing jeans on Raw, everybody went nuts at me for that.
Oh, they liked his jeans.
I didn't like. Yeah, I mean, I this was like 6 months ago.
The
I did a
IWC?
take on Allison Analysis saying that I didn't like it. I understand they're trying to make it feel more like a sports product, but I didn't like Gunther just suddenly wearing jeans on Monday Night Raw. I didn't like that. I don't know why.
You
but
know
it
what
bugged
he
me.
needs?
Dude, you're good. DCX Warlord just unsilenced you. We're dialed.
Yes,
Let-
thank you, DCX Warlord.
Let me say this real quick. Gunther needs to get back to wearing the tracksuits, maybe like the Imperium tracksuits. If
Yeah.
he's not gonna wear the suit, then he needs to wear a tracksuit or something like
One
that.
of the two,
because-
not jeans, not a t-shirt.
I
Yeah.
go by the WRC anyway, not the IWC. It's different. The Wrestling Republic community, that's the one that I look
That's
to.
true. Although it was the Wrestling Public community, which went nuts at me.
Oh, it's them too? Dang it.
I think it was like I think it's the most comments I've ever had on a reel. It was just
Were they good
going
jeans?
at my
I
throat.
only vaguely remember the jeans.
Well, it was in like it was such a nothing part of Raw too. It was just he was like doing a pre-recorded promo, and I mentioned it because it bugged me for some reason. Turned it into an Instagram reel, and yeah, safe to say I was
Honestly, now that you
people did not
mention it,
agree.
he's always seemed more like a slacks guy to me. Jeans is kind of shocking.
It is. It's
Yeah.
like you imagine, I don't know, you imagine him being somebody who's all, proper, by the rules, all this. Jeans? That's too
Yeah.
casual for
Yeah.
him. Makes
Yeah.
no
He got
sense.
he got to be business casual for his casual.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
totally. Not quite suits, but close.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have Haseen Terrell in the comments. Shout out to you and happy MLK Day. No
sir.
doubt
Yes, no
about
question.
it. We got Josh Markowitz saying, "What's up, fellas?" And
Gosh.
of course, he's also on
Go
the
Birds!
Philadelphia.
Oh
My man
man,
Cooper
that's gonna be a
DeJean.
shame if y'all have to see the Boogeyman again.
We're
That's
running
just
it
the
back,
worst.
Clark.
It's just a terrible
2
time
years
to
in
be
a
as good as
row.
you guys are.
Let's talk about wrestling, man.
Absolutely.
A horrible time to be as good as the Eagles are.
Virus of Noogle says, "Do you think Jordan Grace is heading to WWE now she is finished with TNA?" I mean, I think it is just all but confirmed at this point. Royal Rumble?
They gave her a cake after the
Yeah, maybe.
match. She's gone for sure, but I think she'd go to WWE. Rumble makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. Sean Ellis saying, "Do you think Tessa Blanchard will be in the WWE now?"
Nope.
No.
I'm gonna say something real quick about
Hard
that.
no.
Oh yeah,
I'm
go
gonna
for
say
it.
something about that real quick. Tessa Blanchard did phenomenal last night as an in-ring wrestler. I think her and Jordan Grace blew the roof off. I thought that was one of the best matches on the Genesis card. It's going to be very difficult how we navigate Tessa Blanchard because it does seem like, regardless how incredible she wrestled last night, the fans are not warm about her return. There was chants that were not very good for her. So this is going to be a tough one for Tessa Blanchard to not. I think WWE is not even a thought process. I think, is it going to be able for her to last in TNA? Because if you get this type of reaction where it is nuclear heat, then I don't know, man. It's going to be a difficult one for her. So I'm going to say no to WWE, but I'm definitely curious to see if she can even last in TNA.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, last night, right? I'll let you guys have a see behind the curtain for a second. Kobe obviously was reviewing last night's TNA Genesis show, and here at Wrestling Republic, we have a rating system. It is very strict, and one of the ratings for atmosphere is, in order to get a full star for atmosphere, the crowd has to be invested into the match and not actively trying to take away from the match. So those chants actually prevented it being a 5-star match. That was what it, caused it. So, I mean, when the fans, are going against you like that, I mean, you've got to listen to the audience at the end of the day. And Sean Ellis agrees, and a lot of people do too. It's not a minority opinion on this one. It really is. People are not liking her. And, we sort of Hogan the other day too. People aren't quick to, forgive, especially when they've not really seen any change. But let's now move on, because somebody else who's allegedly got an attitude problem now is PCO. Because in case you guys didn't see it last night on the GCW, the People versus GCW show, PCO went versus TNA and grabbed the sledgehammer and started just smacking the TNA Digital Media Championship, grabbed the mic. They were trying to grab the mic off of him, and then they cut the feed. It was very realistic looking. It was done very, very well. But the question is this a work or is it not a work? Now, I'm not the biggest fan of PCO. I know a lot of people do like him. I'm in the minority, I think, who don't like him. But I will say this. The fact that so many dirt sheets were so quick to, report on this story as soon as it happened makes me think that GCW immediately, sent messages to them. And no way are you going to immediately be sending messages to media during a show while your show is still on air when you're the size of GCW, right? It's not WWE. They're not going to have tons of other teams doing this. I think it's got to be planned out. So I honestly do think still this is a work. But also, we got, he went to Twitter earlier on today, and he said that he was meant to main event Double or Nothing 2019 against Kenny Omega originally, AEW's first ever show. There's two ways of looking at this. Either it's a work and this is his gimmick, in which case, I mean, it's worked, and it's worked absolute wonders. Great storyline, fantastic collaboration between TNA and GCW, or alternatively, I mean, somebody needs to check on this guy.
Let me guess, he was going to finish his story before Cody was against Roman Reigns too, huh?
This question is from Jacob.vl, who is asking, did PCO go into business for himself? I don't think he did. Anthony, we saw he went on a rant earlier about it. He thinks that PCO did go into business for himself. Clark, I want to know your thoughts.
I think that if this was a work, it's one of the dumbest works I've ever seen, because we all watched it together here at Wrestling Republic, and listen, it overshadowed a match that was actively happening on the company he's smashing the title of. And what were we talking about? Not the match on television. We were talking about the other show, the one that he was on, the GCW show, not the TNA show. If it had made us focus deeper into the TNA show, and maybe there's an appearance around there, sure. This didn't feel like it worked to me. PCO, yeah, Pierre Carl Ouellette, as you can see in the comments, Perfect Creation 1, whatever you want to call him. Frankenstein's monster, for those of you that are literature fans, he's not Frankenstein. Remember, that's the actual doctor. But the net of it is, the dude is bizarre. He's one of the most bizarre characters in wrestling, by far, by a lot. This was more bizarre than his character. It doesn't fit. It's too calculated. I don't get it at all. And if it was a work, it better be paid off in a way that I'm stunned by. But I can't fathom how they can pay off a work like this and stun me. This was, I think, going into business. This was something that maybe wasn't planned. This was, I'm on an adjacent pay-per-view to a company that I'm frustrated with. That's what it looked like. But unless he's going to have a match with Santino Marella and go after TNA management out of this, I don't know what in the world is going on here. What in the wide world of sports, in the words of the great Mel Brooks, is going on here. I don't understand it. I don't believe it was a work. And if it was a work, I don't actually also believe it was well executed, because it doesn't make any sense to me, because it was the story. It It was the story of the internet. It was the story of the people that were watching both products. So if you were watching TNA, you were looking at videos on your phone of what happened related to TNA elsewhere. And you could watch both shows if you bought both and, you know, figure it out that way. But, you know, me, I don't love spoilers and whatnot. I'm waiting to watch the GCW show after TNA last night.
Yeah.
How's it end up? I already know what happened with PCO. Not only that, it overshadows the product over on TNA. So if it was a work, it was a dumb work. I'll tell you that much. It didn't do any work for anybody, but put some more eyes on GCW.
I agree with a lot of what you said, right? And I do agree it's quite dumb, but let me at least, you know, offer a perspective of where, you know, maybe it would make sense, right? Of course, WWE and TNA are now in an official partnership, but unofficially, it's been very clear WWE and GCW have been in a partnership, and same with TNA and GCW as well. We've seen that the last year, 18 months, 2 years, whatever, right? So maybe TNA went, hey, we know we're doing this big show of NXT, which, you know, got announced very late in all of this, the fact that NXT were involved. We know you guys have a big show in the same time. Hey, we're going to throw you a bone, and you guys can have this big headline too. That would be dumb.
Let's shut off half of our audience.
It'd be dumb. I don't think no, people didn't buy the pay-per-view to go and see PCO.
I didn't go buy the pay-per-view. No, but I didn't pay attention to the product that was on screen.
No, you're right. It's dumb.
It ruined a match that PCO wasn't involved in.
But I think it could legitimately be, you know, the logic behind it, right? Because let's be real.
They were like, let us help you out. Like, what do you mean? You could still watch both. Because of the way that when you buy those pay-per-views, you can go, as long as you don't pay attention to what happened on GCW, you can go watch it right after TNA. No problem. That's a non-issue.
No, I do agree. It's a bit dumb, but no way does he suddenly think that he was meant to face Kenny Omega or Double or Nothing 2019.
I mean, the guy's a little bit off his rocker and kind of always has been. If you're going to staple gun your mouth together at 57 years old, no hesitation as a part of a character, you know, you might have a screw loose. You might actually be convinced that you are that wild.
Oh, gosh. D6 Warlord says PCO hasn't defended that title since he faced Matt Cardona at Emergence.
This is the same guy involved in the famous loaded punch backstage on... He didn't throw the punch, but he's involved in the situation with Dynamite Kid. Yeah, and a lot of people said caused brain damage, right? A loaded punch, planned, loaded, calculated punch. Yes, Dynamite Kid was a bully, but he goes all the way back to then. There's a lot of history with PCO going into business for himself and doing things that benefit him
it's
more.
Only that once, isn't it? Though, really, that one time or 2 decades.
Well, that one, and then the click stuff that Anthony brought up on the reel.
Yeah.
There's more than one. There's a reason he was not.
None have happened in 2 decades, have they?
Well, but he also was 2 decades away. He was blacklisted because of the incidents.
Yeah, but he's been, you know, everywhere else.
Oh yeah, what has he been like just a nice guy since?
No, he's been Ring of Honor World Champion. He's been, you know, around and about. He's been in TNA for years.
I'm not saying that he's not a successful professional wrestler, and I think the character arc and the story of him being able to sort of redefine himself late in his career is incredible. Last night made no sense. That was stupid.
I think a lot of it is a veteran, that was from
stupid.
His personality too is also what Clark is saying as well. Like,
yeah,
it's not surprising to see him go to business for himself as he's done within situations in the past.
Yeah, he's done it before.
If he has, it is absolutely disgraceful, but also legitimately somebody should check on him, because no way in hell do I believe that he was meant a main event Double or Nothing 2019 against Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega instead of Chris Jericho, while he was still under contract with Ring of Honor, may I add. Also, Chris Leclerc says he's 57 years old. Honestly, his dumb gimmick, and I'm not even going to go at him, just the gimmick, it just doesn't work for me at all, has been one of the things which has put me off TNA these past 2 years, honestly. But a lot of people do like it, so I think I'm in the minority there. But for me, absolutely.
He worked himself into a gimmick where he could no-sell, and it explains everything that you saw last night. This guy waited his whole career
That's the line
finally work himself into a gimmick that he could no-sell on other people, like he's always wanted. right? That's who he's been his whole career. That's who he's been for 40 years.
He's put a lot of people over though. During when
Which
I've
is
seen him the
fine
last
though,
few
and then
years,
he
he
comes back
has.
because he's indestructible though. Remember, like it's always he puts him over, but with the
Yeah,
caveat.
he's only
It's
been like world champion once, like in this time. Like
true. Well, because
I don't believe the fact
like
that he's this
I
selfish.
like it how you're tiptoeing back and forth though, because I agree with you. I think he's not that good.
Yeah. I'm trying to play devil's advocate a bit.
I
But
know
I also
you are,
think
and
as
I'm
a
like,
person,
no, I'm agreeing with you, Ben.
as a person, it does shock me. As a character, it's always sucked. But let's now move on, shall we? And let's talk about something which certainly does not suck. And that is, of course, Demand Progress Plus, where you guys can use code What's Progress 1 to get 50% off your first month on Demand Progress Plus, the home of Progress, Defy, and more. One of, if not my favorite wrestling promotions. Make sure to check them out. Their streaming service, like it says, has Defy, has TNT Extreme Wrestling, tons of great wrestling from around the globe. And you can use code WatchProgress1 to get 50% off. Now let's move on to the next question, shall we? Because this one is from @just.apart on Instagram, who is asking, bring back one woman, one man from the NXT Gold era who is not currently in WWE. Who are your picks and why? Shard, I'll hand this one to you.
All right. So not in the WWE. There's so many great names that you can come across. And I would hate to take great talent from other companies, but just looking at the landscape of what NXT is now and knowing that these talents could probably, second time around, you put them into this iteration of NXT, I think they could shine. I think I got some solid choices here. So I'm going to start off on the men's side. And this is a possibility because there's a lot of rumblings upon his contract status and whatnot. But I think the men's division could really benefit having somebody like Aleister Black in NXT. I think he brings a level of star power. He was phenomenal during his time in the black and gold era, had a lot of great feuds and matches. And I think you add him, just how creative he is, how much of a great worker and a veteran presence. That's a no-brainer to me. I think that we always complain about the depth and the main event scene on the men's side. Aleister fills the docket. I mean, you talk about having him in a feud with like a Tony D'Angelo with all the cinematic stuff to it, all the mind games that he can play going against the mob boss and the family, an Obafemi. Aleister Black and Obafemi would be generational. That would be a phenomenal feud. Trick Williams, like there's just so many people that you can time in, and that's a good way to kind of get him back into the fold of the WWE. Eventually get called up at some point, but I think that would be a great one. So for the men's side, I'm going to go with it, Aleister Black. The women's side, this one's a little difficult, right? Because I'm still thinking off of the thought process of people that were in that frame. This person wasn't a big time talent there, but after what she did in NXT and how her character has kicked off, and just kind of seeing her in AEW now and not shining, I think if you add her to this iteration of her character and the stacked women's division, I'm gonna say Deonna Purrazzo. I think Deonna has a level of, an incredible in-ring worker. I would compare her kind of like Roxanne Perez in that standpoint, where she's gonna give you a bell for bell amazing match whenever you need her to. Like, she's gonna do her job. But the virtuosa really picked off after she left WWE when she was in TNA. That is a big reason why AEW did sign her. Now, I don't think she has, done anything leaps and bounds in AEW. Part of it may be on her, part of it may be on her booking, but her coming into NXT, I think that's someone, whether you put her in the main event picture going against the Julias, going against the Roxanne Perez's, or if you put her in the North American division, going against Fallon Henley, going against potentially Stephanie Vaquer, Kalani Jordan. That's someone who I think just kind of fits with the veteran presence, but also a bit of a star power that she rightfully has, what she's built her brand in pro wrestling. And that's another way, just like Aleister Black, it's a good pick-me-up, kick-up start for her to kind of get back into the WWE in a way. build her brand back up, and then eventually, be more of a solid name when she does get called up. So those would be my two names that I would bring back, I guess, that are technically black and gold into this iteration of NXT.
A great choice, no doubt about it, Shard. For me personally, I'd say firstly for the men, Adam Cole, because I don't know what happened to this man's AEW run, but I think Danhausen must have put a curse on him the minute he walked through that door, because honestly, he's just been, injury after bad storyline after bad storyline. And I don't think it's necessarily anybody's fault. It's just been a string of things which have happened. And then on the women's side, the artist formerly known as Ember Moon, now known as Athena, because she's doing great stuff in Ring of Honor. But I think it is time for her to, have some new opportunities. And if that isn't going to be on the AEW main roster, hell, her back in WWE would be excellent as well. DCX Waller has an excellent shout. Zaya Brookside and Justin Gabriel. Two great calls there, no doubt about it.
I thought about Athena, but I do not want to take Athena away from AEW. I don't know why. I just feel like we haven't even had a chance to see what she can do.
It's true, but I think they should have called her up now. I think by the way, they could still do it at any time.
It's time to
but
move her to the main roster.
Pardon?
It's time to move her to the main roster as if it was WWE with Athena.
That's what I said.
It's time to
that's
just
what I want them to do.
No, I know that's where you were going, but I'm just like, she's that good, but I also think there's some sort of brilliance if you pull this correctly, where you've had Athena put in this great work and is in a rhythm in ROH with less eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can reestablish that then to the main audience, to the main eyeballs, this is sort of a litmus test, I think, with Athena. If AEW can figure this out,
too long.
No, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. But you can't go, right? Hindsight's always 20/20. For the future, you got to strike soon. And it's a litmus test for AEW. If you can make something of a shocking introduction of Athena being inserted into a title picture in either women's championship title picture on AEW television, you can really pull something really cool. And that might make it worth it. The being off TV, the being away. Absence does make the heart grow fonder. There's something to that, whether intentional or not. True. And I don't think it was intentional, but I do think it's possible. Sorry.
I do want to get on to the final topic just because I think we're going to get passionate about this one as well. But we've got a great question from Barilon Don on Instagram, who is saying Jon Moxley has go away heat with me. And this has been a theme in the IWC the past week. A lot of people are turning on Jon Moxley and the Death Riders and are saying that the storyline is hurting AEW TV. I think I have a little bit of a unique perspective on this, because while I do agree that the faction, they've not really done too much, if we're being completely honest here, what they have done really well is kind of just being a sponge to soak up all the other challengers, because there are more people in and around the AEW Championship than there ever has been before. And it's bringing out the best from people such as an Orange Cassidy, a Jay White, a Hangman Page. So I don't think it's been all bad. But at the end of the day, so many people are now complaining about it that maybe this storyline will need to be abandoned a little earlier than originally planned. Shad, what's your thoughts on this one?
I think to say he has go away heat is a very asinine statement. And that's respect to the commenter. I respect your perspective and what your views are on Jon Moxley, but to me, it makes it seem like he's doing his job pretty damn well. You don't want him to win. You don't want the Death Riders to win as a faction. They are heels, but not only are they heels, they are heels to the establishment. They are heels to all of AEW. And to your point, they can be a sponge. They are adding different elements of competitors, but that's the nuance of the faction. That's the nuance of the group. They're going against everyone. It's them versus AEW, and that opens the floodgates to you having feuds with Hangman Adam Page, having feuds with Orange Cassidy, having feuds with a Switchblade Jay White. I think they're doing a pretty damn great job. and you also talk about character development, Marina Shafir is way more impressive and important as a figurehead now than she ever has been in AEW. That's just a fact. Her identifying what she's good at and what her strong suits, being a like China type of heavy to John Moxley, is absolutely brilliant. She is probably the most scary woman in AEW by theory, just because she's going ahead and doing damage to all the guys for a group that already has some tough SOPs on the crew already. So that happens there. Wheeler Yuta, what does he do if he's not part of this team? With the whole story with Bryan Danielson and Moxley, kind of floating amongst what's going on. Like, I feel like there's been more benefit than there's been stuff that has given them go away heat. I don't want to see them break up. I don't want to see the faction go away. I like the storyline personally. I think there can be more to it. I don't think it's been perfect by any means. I think you can add more to it. But to say they have go away heat, that it's something that people are just turning their TV off. And about John Moxley, most importantly, the guy who's kind of been the pulse, the heart of AEW. Like, this guy has put the company on his back when we've had so many crazy things happen in the company. To me, he's bulletproof. So I don't agree that he has go away heat.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. I do struggle to believe that I haven't actually seen the breakdown for the episode recently for Dynamite in terms of segments. But I would be surprised if, because like you said, go away heat isn't, booing somebody. It is turning your TV off, like you said, Shard. And I do struggle to believe that people are doing that for John Moxley. But at the same time, I mean, one of their tweets last week got ratioed about them. And I understand as well that was because it
they
made
got
sense
ratioed?
they were teaming with Chris Jericho. I mean, that's not a good sign. If somebody's comment,
That's two heel factions.
no, that's
To that point, Chris Jericho's faction is doing what they're supposed to be doing too. They're heels, y'all.
Yeah, but no. This is where I'm saying this though. Getting ratioed on your own post is never good, right? That means a comment making fun of it is getting more likes than the actual post itself. That is not good in itself.
There's nothing worse than getting Captain Fortnite and the guy hits the dance emoji. Who cares? That's so ridiculous.
Who cares? You should care.
No,
Clark. I know, Clark. I know you don't use Twitter.
No
I know you don't use Twitter, right? You might not understand. But for my generation, that is a big deal. That's like getting a 1-star from some prestigious review company. It means a lot.
It means nothing.
It means a lot, and it's bad.
Doesn't mean a lick.
But it's just
and it's called X-Pac heat. It's not called go away heat. Welcome to being a wrestling
look.
fan.
As soon as trust me, that will impact people's view of a promotion being ratioed in this day and age. It absolutely will. It will. Imagine. I absolutely guarantee. And also, Bobby's right. Evil is go away heat. He absolutely does, and nobody watches his matches. That's a
go
fact.
to Moisty Meyer.
Jason says Death Riders will eventually turn on Mox. I think. I mean, maybe, I don't know. But here's the thing. I do agree with a lot of people who are saying, maybe he's not been the best. We've not seen that much character development from Moxley, but we have seen so much character development from the people around John Moxley in this, and it kind of has just been a catalyst for a lot of other people, getting the storylines they need. Clark, I want to get your thoughts.
Well, I will say my thoughts, but I really do hope I don't get ratioed on this one. My thoughts on this, when it comes down to it, is I'm going to quote a great Scottish band, Steelers Wheel. I'm stuck in the middle with a lot of people on this because I think there's a lot more you can do with this storyline when it comes to John Moxley, but go away heat, knock it off. It's called X-Pac heat anyway, and stop it. I'm stuck in the middle. I'm stuck in the middle with you. I think there is a lot more we can gain from this. I think we've gained from it. As you mentioned earlier, Orange Cassidy, as you've mentioned earlier, I mean, Marina Shafir looks as strong as she's ever looked in her entire wrestling career. There's no denying that. Does she have go away heat? Finger quotes. Shut up. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. Knock it off. He wouldn't be booked in the main event scene if he truly had X-Pac heat, which it's actually called. If you go back and watch wrestling. Here's the deal. In the future, they're going to need to give us a big reason as to why they've done all of this. A bigger one. a larger mountain to climb, something else narrative wise to continue this story so that it's good. But go away heat, absolutely, unequivocally no.
Here's something to add to this too, right? I can't find the segment numbers because I don't think they're publishing them at the minute. But what I can find, obviously, is the YouTube numbers. And the highest rated segment by 3 digits, by over 100,000 views last week, was Can Powerhouse Hobbs dethrone the AEW World Champion Jon Moxley?
Boom.
So I mean, listen, people could click on it and watch it for a second. I just don't think that's happening. Austin Hughes is saying, keep it up, guys. I love the content. Thank you for the support. We really do appreciate it. Jason is saying, I think Mox is a better heel than a babyface. No doubt about that. I will agree with you. But yeah, I think we're all in agreement. No, he doesn't have go away heat.
No way.
But we'll have to wait and see, you know, how much ratio it matters. I think that'll be a debate which will be long contested for a long time to come. But thank you guys so much for watching. Shout out to you, Bobby Petito, as well. And shout out to Shad and Clark for joining me here today on this Monday. We will be back. Shad will be back. Same time, same place tomorrow to talk to you guys a little bit about Monday Night Raw. Hope to see you guys then. Bye.